Hello everyone and welcome back to my Washington football team rebuild. We've made it a long way since the last video, making it all the way to week 8, which is our bye week. All the games have been streamed over on Twitch at twitch.tv/BrentMan21. These games have to be scheduled with other people, so they're not always at the same time, so it's best to leave a follow there to know whenever we're live. But also, if you want to throw my team Twitter a follow at RZ_WashingtonFT, I'll be posting all the game times on the Twitter, and then also be posting up the stream on the Twitter. So it's best if you want to see the games live to go ahead and follow that Twitter as well. It'll keep you up to date on Washington football team related news, but you could also leave a follow on other Twitters like our very own Adam Schefter. So you can follow him at Adam Schefter RZ. But we have a lot to go over in this episode, so let's go ahead and jump into it. So let's go ahead and go over the process of getting down to 53. We were able to pick up tight end Delaney Walker in the season opening waiver wire, along with guard Jamon Brown. This gives us a really big upgrade at tight end with Delaney, and Brown gives us a lot better depth on the O-line. Tight end was our weakest position, and now we have a solid tight end there, so that's a big boost to the offense. Also, we were able to trade defensive tackle Jonathan Allen to the Patriots for an upcoming 2nd and 4th round pick. The Patriots are a team not expected to do much, so it could be an early round pick. So that's a good value for a rotational player. And we were able to pick up Mario Edwards Jr. to be that third defensive tackle to rotate in like we spoke about in episode 2. Overall, I'm really happy with how our week 1 roster has turned out. We had to have a little bit too many wide receivers with 7, but there were some young guys with skill sets that I really liked. And I saw JJ Nelson was released, and his speed and juke ratings they're really good. He has like 95 speed and 89 juke, and that's something we don't have on our team. He's most likely going to get some of Sim's snaps, but those are just mostly going to come on kick and punt return. We had to do some maneuvering, put in some guys with short injuries on IR to make it all work, but I feel like we got some good depth and youth with signings like Malik Harrison, edge rusher Jordan Willis, and cornerback Isaiah Rodgers. Malik Harrison gives us another big-bodied thumper with some speed at linebacker. Jordan Willis gives us a fourth guy who's super fast that we could put on the edge. And then Isaiah Rodgers, he's just super young and super fast, and he's going to develop into a good nickel at some point. So really, 3 guys that I really, really like. They all have standout attributes. I think Malik Harrison's like 6'4" with like 84 speed. So he's got really good size, and his speed's going to be good for using that. And then, like I said, Jordan Willis, that fourth guy who can come in and give us we have a lot of depth right now on defense, and I'm really excited about it. The first team that we play is the Philadelphia Eagles. They're a really, really good team. And on top of that, they have a really good user, one of the top 5 users in the league. So we have our work cut out for us. The key players that I looked at going into this game were, of course, Fletcher Cox. We wanted to make sure we ran away from him. Darius Slay, he's a turnover artist. He's going to get picks. He's going to jump routes. So we needed to make sure that we didn't give him any easy looks and easy passes. And then just Zach Ertz, he's just a threat. He's going to catch the ball, and he's going to always, when he catches it, he's one of those possession guys. So he's going to bring it down every time. So he's really big, obviously, in the red zone. I knew that if we got down there, then he was going to be the guy, and he can do both running and blocking. So he's a really good weapon. So those are the 3 guys that we wanted to key in on going into this game. And then, as you can see, here's the spread. We were almost 3-score underdogs in this one. And really, it came out to be about like that. As you can see here, we had an awful offensive performance. 3 interceptions by Haskins. Under only 205 yards passing. Adrian Peterson was our leading running back, and this actually changes throughout the season. I came to the realization that Peterson's great, but why not give more touches to Gibson? Obviously, this doesn't happen in this game. We struggled on offense. That was our main concern. And then earlier on defense, we put ourselves in bad situations, but that was mostly because of the offense and early drive interceptions and fumbles and stuff like that. And as you see here, Ertz had a big game. Steven Sims had a big game, with 5 catches. And really, just everything we thought would happen really did. Big body possession catches by Alshon Jeffrey, and Ertz really hurt us. And then we weren't great on the defensive side either. We were okay. Cole Halcomb ended up having 2 sacks, and that was kind of weird because I remember on the sacks I was really trying to set up the other guys, and he was just always breaking through. I mean, Chase Young got his half sack, and Jordan Willis came in with a half sack, and then it wasn't even who I thought it was going to be in terms of interceptions. It wasn't Darius Slay. It ended up Nickel Roby-Coleman. He was really, really good in the slot, and he was sticking to guys, and I was just making poor reads. But then Landon Collins and Apke both got one for us, but obviously it wasn't enough. We go to 0-1 on the season, and we lose to a division opponent and our toughest opponent of the season, most likely. So, I mean, it wasn't too unexpected. I mean, even in the spread, you can see that it wasn't expected that I was going to make too much noise. I will say that this game kind of got my head on straight. I came into the game still trying to figure out some play calling, and we're starting to get a little better. You'll see as the season goes on and using our personnel. Our Week 2 opponent was the Arizona Cardinals. And this week, we actually didn't have too much roster movement. Really, the only thing we had was that we re-signed Brendan Scherf to an extension. I was thinking 4 years was good because we'd be able to kind of see how progression is going to work. And I could have went 5 years because, I mean, it just gives us that many more years to find a replacement. And we're going to be replacing a lot of guys up front. So having a guy take up just a little longer to find a replacement or to be able to have that position filled would be great. So that's the only roster move we really made. And then, really, we were, again, underdogs coming into this game. Looking at the spread, we were a touchdown, a little bit lesser than a touchdown on the spread, so that we were going to lose this one. And we actually came out and beat these guys. The Cardinals have a really good roster, at least in Madden. I mean, Hopkins and Murray, they're very, very potent. And this guy, he was really good with his run game, with spreading the field out and using that run game. And, I mean, he did a really good job that way, but we were just able to come away with a win. If we just look at the box score, I mean, we ran the ball pretty good. We threw the ball really well. That was, I think, his biggest issue. I think late in the game, we really put together some drives that put it away for us. Just looking at the stats, Haskin had a pretty good day. Only 1 pick. Murray, we got him to have 3. He was only sacked once. Dwayne Haskins, that is. Adrian Peterson here, we give a better rotation. Really, I think this is the last game that Adrian Peterson gets that many carries compared to Gibson. We start moving away from that and giving a lot more to Gibson. He's a rookie and he's fast. I might as well progress him. And then Kenyon Drake, obviously. He was good this game. He was really good. He made me really think whenever I was coming out in formations on stopping the run. And then you have DeAndre Hopkins. He had a couple deep balls that he threw that just didn't happen. I mean, just for sheer luck. And then Steven Sims, he was a monster underneath. It's kind of interesting with him is Terry McLaurin, everyone kind of keys in on him being my only receiver, and it just leaves everybody else open. And McLaurin's great, but Sims is just eating underneath. And honestly, Delaney Walker's been amazing. He's been making a lot of spec catches, that jumping catch over guys. And he's been a bailout guy for me, and he's really good in the run game. So he's been great. Obviously, he feasted in this game as well. And then in terms of blocking, we only gave up the 1 sack. I guess it was just an unblock guy. And then their sack came from Matthew Judon. And Kendall Fuller had a pick. Troy Apke has been a monster in pass coverage. He's been a monster. I don't understand it. Just his speed, because his other ratings aren't great. I mean, his play rec and awareness are like 56. It has to just be speed and his range that give him the ability to pick these balls off. But I think he's up to like 5 right now in the season at the bye week. So overall, we had a really good game. And if we can put every game together like we did this one, then we're going to have a really good season. It's a really good bounce back game from the Eagles game. Week 3 is against the Cleveland Browns, and we're finally after an upset win over the Cardinals, we're starting to get a little respect. Our spread is better. We're favored in this game against the Browns just by 3 points. The Browns have a good roster. OBJ, I mean, he's going to be a threat all the time, and actually in this game he ends up not being one. We don't have any roster moves this week. We didn't have any injuries or anything, and no really good release guys we thought we should pick up. When I say it like that, but no guys that were released that we thought that I was interested in, and really that were any kind of boost of what we had. But yeah, like I said, we got ourselves some respect, and we come out and we actually beat the Browns 28-25. We didn't do very good on the ground, but our passing attack was very potent. They ran the ball for 100 yards, over 100 yards. I mean, they have 2 good backs, and that was really the focus, is to try to get up on them and get them out of that. Obviously, they still were able to get 108 yards, and they didn't pass great, but it wasn't awful. Turnovers aren't great. We have consistently had issues with picks. Sometimes just misreading coverages. I mean, sometimes those underneath routes where it's here or there, and you have to make a split decision. I just need more practice at doing that. No excuses. I need to take care of the ball, though. So in this game, I mean, we did pretty good. Like I said, we were explosive on offense. Haskins, so we have a rule in our league that if you throw 3 interceptions, that guy has to sit. The reason for that rule is because quarterbacks are throwing 40 interceptions, but they'll have 40 touchdowns and they'll win awards even though they had an awful year. So we have a 3-pick sit rule. You see Alex Smith comes in, actually plays just as good, if not better, than Dwayne Haskins. I mean, really, Alex Smith has been really good for me throughout the preseason, so I wasn't worried when he came in. And that's another theme throughout the season. And then he has, obviously, Case Keenum comes in. He has the same issue. He has a 3-pick sit with Baker Mayfield. We get to the quarterback better this game. I think we sacked him 3 times is what it says, how many times he had been sacked. Nick Chubb, obviously, we see here we give it a lot more to Gibson. And I mean, if you look, the numbers aren't great. They didn't really break off a bunch of huge runs or anything like that. And we gave the ball to Gibson a lot. But you could say not very effectively. Steven Sims once again has a good week. Makes a lot of big plays. Delaney Walker again, he's kind of like that third down guy. I'm always looking for him. He's a mismatch. I really enjoy having him on the team. I might be changing my position on having good tight ends. I've usually had good tight ends, and it's a really good mix-up. Like, last cycle, I think I had Ebron at one point, and that was really nice to have a guy who could do that. What Ebron does, I guess. And then we had a big play over the top with J.J. Nelson. It was like a post, and he got behind the backside safety, and it was just beautiful. We had been setting that up. And McLaurin has a good game, decent game. His yards aren't great, but he gets a touchdown. And Bryce Love is our scat back that we like to give it to. And then on blocking, obviously Morgan Moses is struggling. I think it's his second game with a sack. Carrying gets a sack. Myles Garrett's currently the leading pass rusher in the league. I think he has 10 sacks at the bye week. Chase Young finally gets one. And then in terms of interceptions, I mean, this is the day. If you're a defender, this is your day. You're playing catch with your dad out back. Just a lot of picks. Everyone gets one. It's like Oprah giving out cars. So yeah, overall, it's good. We're now sitting at 2-1. Trying to fight back and get in that division. I think at this point the Eagles also are 3-0. So we're trying to keep up with them. They're definitely the best team in the division, and we're trying to match that with our week 1 loss. In week 4, we go up against the Baltimore Ravens. The spread does not do good for us, a negative 8.5, but I think this was before we had beat Browns, so they don't have our record updated. Not sure it would have changed their minds. I mean, the Ravens have an outstanding roster, and Lamar Jackson is a cheat code. So that was our main focus going into this game, was to contain Lamar Jackson. And for the most part, we did do that. I think he only got loose maybe on one play. But, I mean, you take Lamar Jackson away, his legs at least, you still have to worry about the pass and the other guys running the ball and stuff like that. So, I mean, we just tried to make it hard on him to make reads. And really, we lost this game, but we had an issue with turnovers again. I mean, it's a theme it's a theme throughout the league that everyone is throwing a lot of picks, just because we're still kind of getting used to everything, and we don't want to not reward the defense and crank up that catching slider so that these guys can't catch picks. So because we don't really think it's a coverage issue. Anyways, so we threw a lot of picks this game. Once again, like I said, it's been an issue. We don't run the ball well. Our passing game is lackluster. They did well. They have good outside corners, and really we struggled. We struggled versus this team. I think that we did better on defense than we did on offense. I mean, obviously they outscored us 31-21, and 31 is not a good number for your defense, but I just felt more confident in the defense throughout the game. And we put together some good drives. It just, we really just turned the ball over way too much. Looking at the player stats, Haskins has another 3-pick sit day. Have to bring in Alex Smith, who throws 2 more interceptions. He had an awful day. But really, he came in at the end of the game, and I was just trying to come back. And I think we were down that 10 points, and I was just slinging it. Lamar Jackson ends up having a 3-pick sit, but I think it was at the end of the game, and he never actually had to come back. Like, he was never back on offense, at least not for anything but kneel downs. And then here we give it to Gibson. We did not run the ball enough to give any kind of relief to the quarterbacks and keep them honest. I really don't like that. Mark Ingram had a lot of carries, but he wasn't super productive. So that's good, I guess. Receiving, Marquise Brown, he's super fast. He only had 3 catches, but 2 of them were touchdowns. And here we are again, Steven Sims with a lot of catches. Delaney Walker with a touchdown. Mark Andrews and Snead. Snead was kind of a third down guy who got the ball a lot more than I thought he would. Terry has a touchdown, and overall we did okay. We threw the ball a lot. I wish we was more balanced that game. It wasn't a great game for us. And then only 2 sacks here. And Chase Young gets another one. McPhee still getting sacks at whatever year he's in. And then once again, just a freaking party getting interceptions. Just a party. Everybody gets one. So we need to shore up the turnover rate. We have to work on that. That's something that is. It's a problem that's plagued us, and something that's plagued us all the way up until week 8 at least. Our next opponent is the LA Rams. We do have the edge in the spread. We're not picked to win the game, which is surprising, just considering the Rams were not good up until this game. We played good this game. It was kind of quick turnaround from week 4 to week 5, so we don't have any roster moves or anything like that. So really just the game, we ran the ball a lot better than usual. A lot better balance. That might just be because we were kind of leading so much going into the fourth quarter that we were able just to run the ball more. Our offense in the past game was good. Not amazing, but good. It was a lot more balanced game for sure, though. They ended up turning the ball over 4 times to our 1, which is finally we don't throw 100 interceptions. Finally, we don't have a 3-pick sick on Dwayne Haskins. And they had to bring in the rookie to come in, who actually played decently for them. Better than Goff. Gibson, I think this is in terms of his output, this is his second best game. Maybe it's his best game in terms of yardage, and then he also had a touchdown, but his average carry was not great. Adrian Peterson, he is a load, and that's something that I do like about this Madden is I can feel the heaviness of the running backs, especially when if it's short yardage, I put Adrian Peterson in there. I'm pretty confident. I mean, almost every time I'm pretty confident. As long as I run to the right side of my line, then I can pick that up. Because he's just going to fall forward. Whoever's tackling him is going forward. So that's something that's really cool. We get Bryce Love gets a couple carries, and Steven Sim gets an end around that he took for about 10 yards. Their leading receiver is Robert Woods. Only 4 catches for 113 yards, but a touchdown. Cooper Kupp, you could argue maybe he was the best receiver for them that day. Probably was. And we just spread the ball around pretty even. That's something I would say we're pretty good at, is getting a lot of people involved. Jeremy Sprinkle gets us a touchdown. Left tackle gets up another sack. We're going to have issues there continuously until we figure something out. We do not have a sack this game. He was pretty good about getting the ball out, and they ran the ball a lot as well. And then there's Troy getting 2 picks. Like I said, he's been really good for us in that in getting turnovers. He's in our sub package. When we come out nickel, he's our center fielder. So he gets a lot of playing time, Troy Apke, and he's paying off. It's paying off. I mean, he's gotten, like I said, to the bye week, he's got five interceptions. So we take care of the Rams. We kind of take care of our turnover issues. We still have an interception, so I want a week where we don't have one. But this team was one that we could start getting on a rhythm, I was hoping. We take on the New York Giants in Week 6. This was a very, very frustrating game. We got upset in this one. I think at this point in the season, the New York Giants only had one win. They're one of the worst rosters in the game. Saquon Barkley is amazing. But I'm going to tell you that that's not what really won. I attribute this one to very, very poor. That turnover issue just came back and bit us. The turnover issue and just not stopping anything on defense. We could not stop a nosebleed. You can see it here. They had 215 rushing yards, 309 passing yards. I mean, but we were the same way. We were trying to keep up. So it's interesting how the strength of our team as a whole is defense. And our offense had to end up holding us through this entire game, and then we ended up losing in overtime. We had a chance in overtime. We got stopped. I went for it on 4th down, and we didn't get it. But, I mean, look, we had 685 total yards. That's crazy, but then we turned the ball over 4 times. So we cannot continue to do this and expect to win games. But this is the growing pains of this team. I did not expect to be a playoff team year one. I'm thinking of this. This year's is something to establish. We're establishing how we're going to play the game. We're establishing what players work for us and just kind of fitting people in their spots. And just looking at the player stats, Haskins has a 3-pick sit day. I mean, he plays well. If you take out those interceptions, you're like, wow, this guy might be an MVP. But because of his interceptions, he just cannot stay in the game. Alex Smith comes in, plays well again. He kept us in the game. He was fighting all the way to the end. And ultimately, it did come down to him. And then Daniel Jones, he didn't have the 3-pick sit issue. So, I mean, if he doesn't have the issue, then why do we? Saquon Barkley, like I said, he's a monster. We did key on him, but then they'd come in with Dion Lewis, and you'd get a breather for a second, at least you thought, and then he'd break off a 10-yard run. So really, the defensive front, the defense stopping the run was a big issue for us. And then every time they wanted to go anywhere else, we were so keyed in on stopping that run that we just weren't playing well. Antonio Gibson has a good day, a decent day, 62 yards on 14 carries, ain't bad. Bryce Love gets a little bit more love, no pun intended. And then Terry McLaurin, he was good this game. Sims also good. I mean, you can tell we really get those number 1s and number 2s in this game a lot. And then Trey Quinn, he had a pretty big game. 8 catches is a lot. I think that's his season high. In terms of blocking, we are the only ones who can get to the quarterback, but their offensive line is is garbage, at least at their tackle position. Their guards are okay. But then Ioannidis had 3 sacks. His 3 sacks were good, but they weren't. I wish they would have been on 3rd down or something like that. Montez Sweat made a good play. Darby, I blitzed him once, and then Chase Young. He's starting to come along. He's almost there to where he's got enough snaps to we can see his X factor, and hopefully it's something good. In terms of interceptions, we get 2. We gave them a bunch. Kendall Fuller and Foster. I was using Foster, I think. Yeah, this one, I think I got this pick. This was a user pick. But it's not enough. We end up losing this game. We should have really played defense. This game really hurts. In Week 7, we went up against the Dallas Cowboys. So back-to-back division games. After the heartbreaking loss to the Giants, the upset, we had to get back on track. And we do so against the Cowboys, but they played very, very well. One of the top rosters in the game. You could see in the second quarter, they scored 18 points on us. So it was kind of, we needed to get something together. And we did. At the end of the game, we put it together. We put together a drive to win the game. And I'm so glad we could because we at that point, taking 3 division losses is not a good look, obviously. So in this game, we were able to run the ball better than they were, and I think that they had far better offensive line and running back talent. And then also passing the ball, we still end up having 3 turnovers. They have 0, so that's another reason why they were able to stay in the game, even with our offensive output, which is a theme. Haskins,
he went out in this game. I think I ran it with him. Yeah, he ends up going out in the game, and Alex Smith has to come in and win this one for us. He didn't do bad. I mean, 2 interceptions, that's on me, but he didn't throw too many bad balls. And then Dak Prescott, he was just being the game manager the entire game. They didn't really take too many chances, and you could say that's why they lost, why their offense was kind of poor, but overall, they were in it till the very end. Antonio Gibson, he ran the ball 5 yards a pop, and then Adrian Peterson got his. Alex Smith, he was running it. He had a touchdown. It was in the red zone. I remember, obviously, it was I think they were playing zone, and they covered everything except for I had 2 reads basically. It's going here, and then I'm already moving because I see that they're on those both, and if they're on both of those, there's no one for accounting for the quarterback. So I just went ahead and ran it in, and then there's Dwayne Haskins, one run that knocked him out of the game for this game. Terry McLaurin has his best game. He did very, very well. He had a couple post routes that were beautiful. And Trey Quinn continues to get involved. Delaney Walker. And I think this might have been, Sims' worst game. I targeted him a couple times. They were just all over him. I don't know. Maybe they had looked at the stats and done a little scouting. Our left guard gives up a couple sacks. That's not good. But up until then, we haven't had any issues with him. You'd think you would, but we didn't. Sweat gets a sack, and Daron Payne, and then we're the only ones that throw the interceptions. Both of them are to the safety, trying to probably do too much. In terms of roster moves, we signed kicker Gostowski. I've never actually tried to say his name before. I knew the player for 100 years, but I've never actually tried saying his name. We let go of Dustin Hopkins. I mean, really, it was just a ratings-based thing, and he's got a bigger leg at like 96 or 97 kick power, where Dustin Hopkins was only 94. I know it's splitting hairs, but Dustin Hopkins was also making a nice chunk of change. So we went ahead and released him, and then we were able to re-sign Ronald Darby. And then on the injury front, Haskins ends up getting hurt in that game. Like I said, he went out with a torn labrum. He's projected to be out for 5 weeks. So we'll see what we do there. Alex Smith had been playing well for us, and I'll actually post a clip now of one of the great plays from that last game.
And that incompletion set up another passing down here on 3rd and long. Escaping the pressure right. Looking for McLaurin.
For week 8, we are on our bye week, right in the middle of the schedule. I really like that. It seems like in the past, Madden had us. It's always either we have a super late bye week or a super early bye week, like week 4 and stuff. So I really like having it right in the middle. And it really helps us with the Dwayne Haskins injury. But that's where we go to next, is what we do because of his injury. We made a move. We traded for Marcus Mariota. We gave up a 4th round pick. We had 2. We had the Patriots 4th round pick from the Jonathan Allen trade. And we shipped ours because I figure we're going to have a better record just based on where we're at than the Patriots are. So I want to send that pick for Marcus Mariota, who's on a 2-year deal. So we have at least a good backup for 2 seasons. And he just brings a different skill set than what we have. He's relatively young, and he's got really good speed. He's, I think, 88 speed. So he, like I said, he gives us a really good element that we didn't have before. And I still want to develop Haskins. I still want to do that, but we might as well have fun with Mariota and have fun with that speed. So we pick up Marcus, and we released defensive end Ryan Anderson. He was kind of a tweener anyways. He's really more of a linebacker type with a little bit of pass rush, but not much. He's really a run stuffer, even at linebacker. He's not super fast. He's kind of undersized for defensive end at like 6'2", 250 pounds. So he didn't really make a whole lot of sense. He didn't bring too much to the table. He's not a pure pass rusher, and he's not a pure run stuffer. And we have too many defensive ends to really give him any reps anyways. So going into the bye week, we have our starting quarterback injured. We are sitting at 4-3. We have a division win, 2 division losses. So we got a long ways to go. We got 8 games to finish it, though. We got 8 games to fix it up and try to make that playoff push. And we got Mariota at the helm. He could, depending on how he plays, we could see either, a monumental rise or a crash. So if you enjoyed this content, if you liked this kind of stuff where we go through the roster, please give me a like. If you want to keep seeing this stuff, subscribe. If you want to watch these games, I stream them all over on Twitch. BrettMan21. If you want to come watch, like I said before, I'm going to be posting the game times and stuff on Twitter. So if you follow me on Twitter, and I'll link all this in the description, but if you follow me on Twitter, you'll be able to see those game times. And if not, just to subscribe to me on Twitch, and you'll be able to watch the games live. So the idea is, because we move so fast, it's so hard for me to actually cut up all the game footage and throw it on here and review it the way that I'd want to do it. So I figured that this would be a more economical way, at least while the league is kind of flying through weeks. Maybe sometime we'll go through specific matchups and post clips, but really, if you want to see that kind of stuff, the best place is through the stream. So yeah, once again, thanks for hanging out with me. See you next time.